be drinking. Silver linings. Look at that. I'm repping.
Yes, I like that.
Oh, heck, I can't wait any longer. Adam, we're on. Go ahead.
We can't. No one can hear us for 30 seconds.
They like us better when they can't hear us.
You crack me up. Welcome. Oh, wait, 3, 2. Wait, who was the guest? We're like 3, 2, 1. All right, we're in. We're live. Okay, let's do it one more time. All right, here we go. 3. Is that 30 seconds now?
Let's get on with it. Yeah, it's 43 seconds. Let's move.
Oh, good. So this is live. Welcome in. It's Adam and Rex. It's Silver Lining Podcast. We're doing a live today on Saturday. I think we got a pretty good time where we usually do Saturdays at 3:30 Pacific time, my time. So we're back to it. Rex, I did get something in the mail today. I got to grab this. Hold on. And one's for you. And these are the Silver Lining journals.
Oh, look at that.
That Gina did.
Very nice, Gina.
And what's cool about this is on each page you can write like in your journal, and then it has a something like inspirational on the other page. What it's all like. This one says "Stay positive."
Mm-hmm.
The next page is like all kinds of like sayings and things like that. So that came, and then for you, Rex, she wanted me to give you this, and it's a kid's book, maybe for a grandkid of yours or something.
Or maybe for me.
Are you like reading books?
I'm just a kid.
Yeah,
I like listening to books, but
Gina, Gina did a great job with these, and so she sent them, and I just got them in the mail, and I was like, oh my gosh, those are super cool. Mm-hmm. And she sent us a card. I'll read it. I'll read it to you after our podcast.
Oh, that kind of card, okay.
No, it's fine. I mean, I could read it now, but I don't know if we want to go there. But
yeah, okay.
Anyways, so you're back from Idaho. Are you back in St. George?
I am back in St. George. I'll be here for till next Thursday when I leave and go to work for a couple of weeks in San Jose, California.
I'm sure we have optimists. I'm sure we have optimists in San Jose, California that would love to meet you.
I hope to hear from them because I'll be there for seems like forever, for a long time. Then I'll be in Nashville after that, just after CrimeCon.
Oh, after CrimeCon.
Yeah.
And people keep asking me, are you guys going to CrimeCon? I was like, no, I'm not going. And they're like, why aren't you going? And for some reason, everybody wants us to go to CrimeCon except for the CrimeCon people. So it's like, you guys want us there, but nobody from CrimeCon wants us there. So
yeah, that was the only problem with that. Would be willing to go, but CrimeCon people did not have room in their agenda for us.
Yep, which is fine. Which is fine. I'm okay with that. Even though I did want to go to Nashville, my old co-host Kareth and her husband Scott live there. They sent me a text the other day. And I was like, gosh, I've never been to I've been to Nashville once or twice, but I wanted to really see them. I haven't seen them in years. That would have been great.
Sorry you'll miss them. I'll be there. Do you want me to go by and egg their house or anything?
No, maybe I'll come for the weekend. Who knows?
Okay. So Crime and Wine asks, Rex, does Chad make eye contact with you or anyone in the gallery? You two are amazing. Thank you. No, not with me. He wouldn't know me anyway.
He's seen the podcast from jail, right?
Who knows? Well, I don't know. Do you know?
I don't.
So he looks around once in a while, like towards the gallery, but I didn't see him make eye contact or acknowledge anyone necessarily. There's no one there from his family the 2 days I was there. He looks around once in a while, not very often. Someone asked about Zulema's icon. Adam and I are going to try to answer as many questions we can, especially about the trial today, because we left so many unanswered when we were on with Tom on Tuesday. Of course, a lot of them directed to him, as they should be. Tom is a tremendous guest and has great insight from his experience, of course, on the jury. So, but unfortunately, we don't have him with us today. but we'll answer whatever questions we can. And one of them was, did Zulema look at Chad? And I'll tell you the comment of the person sitting next to me. She doesn't want me to use her name, but she's very observant, very experienced in court. And she said that Zulema would look over at Chad frequently as if to be looking for support from him or approval from him. I don't read people that well. I didn't see that very often. I saw her glance over at him once or twice. But that was the answer to that question. Crime and Wine, thank you for saying you two are amazing. Thank you. You guys, we probably don't thank you enough for all of the positive comments, an overwhelming amount of positive comments, and we appreciate those. Thank you. And they do make a difference to us, don't they, Adam?
Yes, they do. And somebody mentioned that somebody thought Zulema was giving hand signals to, I read somewhere where she was giving hand signals to Chad. Just touching, but you could touch your head and how do you know that's a sign? You know what I mean? So some people are really looking for, in court, I'm sure people are looking for all kinds of stuff. The question is, does Zulema still believe in all Chad's stuff?
That's a question. We're going to talk about Zulema a few times. Here's another question right away about Zulema's testimony that surprised you, especially when Alex said he was a fall guy and that Charles was a zombie, so he was okay shooting him. We had heard that before, and so that wasn't a surprise. It was insightful. I'll tell you what surprised me, or the whole thought process with Zulema, and this may be answering another question we have lined up a little bit later. Zulema was very straightforward about her immunity deal. Because Pryor asked her, she had an immunity deal. She said, yes, she does. But they didn't go into detail.
See, that's what I would want to know. What's the detail of the thing? I mean, they're not allowed to say it, or they don't have to say it?
Well, they don't have to comment on it. They don't have to say it. But Pryor didn't even ask her. And I'll tell you why I think he didn't. I'll tell you what we have heard. We have heard from a person close to the situation on Lori's defense team that, yes, she has a limited immunity agreement. I don't know what the definition of limited is, but all three, her and the two Melanies, have this according to this source. So I'm telling you secondhand, limited immunity. And the person telling us this said it was the worst limited immunity deal she's ever seen, because it says basically you have to just say what the prosecution wants, or all bets are off. You don't get anything. So there was nothing guaranteed to them in the immunity deal, that there would be no charges or specifically what charges be dropped. There's nothing in there. You have to say this, this, and this. It was just very general and specific like that. And she said that's a horrible immunity deal for the person getting immunity. So, but what was telling to me about Zulema's testimony, when I say telling to me, I'm meaning what left a lot to read between the lines is when she said Alex went down to Mexico on, and she named the day, I think it was Monday, and I can't remember which day Alex actually died, what day of the week it was. But Alex went down to Mexico on Monday. He was fine health-wise. When he came back the next day or 2 days later, whatever it was, as a day or two later, he was sick. And the next event was he died. Okay. So she's insinuating that there could have been something there that he took. But it also leaves the question for those of us that suspect that Zulema may have helped him become unalived, as people say now.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
That left that open. And that's one of those deals. If she meets the prosecution's expectations, we'll never know, because she'll probably not tell us if that's case.
Not just that, but there's not going to be a trial for Alex's death. Like, nobody cares about Alex's death. No one cares that. That's never going to be investigated. So Zulema is going to be off the hook, even if she did, if say Chad and Lori said, all right, Zulema, you got to put this in Al's drink. He's going to drink it. It's the poison. The pink stuff's going to come out of his mouth. He's going to be out of the house when this happens, which she was. Say all that stuff did happen. Say Zulema did. Let's just say, for instance, Zulema did do that. Nothing's going to happen to her. Nobody cares about how Alex died. Nobody cares if she helped kill him because of all the things that he did already with Lori and Chad. So, I mean, what other things would she be on the hook for? I mean, I'm sure she knows. I bet you Zulema knows everything that Lori, like, if Alex was alive, we would hear everything. Zulema knows everything Alex knew. And we knew if Alex was alive, he would tell us everything. Zulema knows everything. She's not going to tell anything. That's the thing. And she didn't have to.
Well, she could be on the hook for being a conspirator, too, to the children's death. Because remember, she said in this testimony, I didn't remember this from the testimony in Lori's trial. She said that she asked Lori, it was Tylee, I think. And Lori, remember, put her hand in her face and said, don't ask. And so Zulema thought that was significant enough to bring it up, which means she attached a meaning to it that, she's dead. And so if that's true, and Zulema knew that, that could be an accessory to the conspiracy. She didn't report it. Again, that's why the immunity deal comes into play, because she could say something like that without having to fear getting charged for it.
Yeah.
Adam, here's ones for you.
Okay.
From Anderson. How does Adam feel about being talked about in court? His sister says he was trying to kill her. A couple of people asked about that comment, Adam. I know you've addressed it before, but please do. There are more people that haven't heard you address it. When Lori said to the Rexburg police, my brother is trying to kill me.
And so, since I don't watch court, that came up in court too?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously, I've said this a lot of times, and I'll say it again. Lori would say whatever she was doing and blame other people. She said Charles was having an affair when actually she was having an affair with Chad. She said that me and Brandon and my son and Charles were trying to kill her when she was actually coming up with a plan to kill Charles. So everything that Lori said was opposite. It was what she was doing. So, and obviously she lied so much that you don't know what's true and what's not true, but there's so many lies that she told. It's hard to put all those together, but obviously, she's got a lot of issues, has a lot of issues, had a lot of issues, continues to have a lot of issues. But yeah, does it make me mad? Yeah. What benefit would I get for killing Lori? What would I get out of it? Why would I want Lori dead? None of it. There's nothing that makes sense about it.
The theory was that there was life insurance money on Lori, and Charles was going to split it with you and Brandon. That's what she declared to, I think.
In reality, it was her trying to get Charles's money. Kill Charles and get his money. So obviously, whatever she said about me was exactly what she was trying to do, which is, that was her pattern. And right. So, yes, does it make me mad that she said something like I would want anybody dead? Yes, that makes me mad.
Excuse me. Okay. Let's take this one from Aaron Rock. What has been the most surprising revelation thus far in this trial for both of you? Adam, you want to take that one first?
Now, you use the word surprising. Yeah. And for me, after learning about Lori and Chad's plan and how all this thing went down, and Rex and I started this podcast, I said, nothing will surprise me. And nothing has surprised me. Nothing. Because of how crazy their plan was and the things that they've done, there's nothing that's surprising to me. Not one thing. Like, you could say there's something that was way out of left field and nobody saw this coming. I'd be like, it doesn't surprise me. Nothing would surprise me about this case. So nothing really revealed to me that is different or anything that I felt. For me, it's all about the results. What happened is the results. Like, how all that stuff got there, I don't really care about all the details about how all that got there. Mine is like, it got there, and now I'm dealing with all this stuff. So yeah, nothing for me. It's really been nothing.
And I'll comment on this, and then I'll take a little break to talk about our merch, because this fires me up. The one thing that surprised me, this evil is so despicable, so horrible, what they did to everyone, especially the children. I thought there could be nothing lower. And I don't say this is more despicable than killing the children, but just when my opinion of Chad and Lori, and I'm going to talk specifically about Chad right now, just when I thought my opinion of him could go no further down, like it was at rock bottom, John Pryor says in the opening statement that 3 or 4 of Chad's children are going to testify for him. How depraved and sick and uncaring do you have to be to drag your children through that ordeal? Can you imagine? It is hard enough for me. I can't imagine, but I'll give you my little comparison. It's hard enough for me to sit in court and to deal with all the emotions and to think about everything involved in this. Can you? And Adam's on a witness list. I've been on the witness list for Lori's. It didn't work out for whatever reason. But can you imagine putting your children on the stand after everything he's done to talk about what a good person he is? That is just sick and disgusting. Yeah. So let's move on to talk merch.
Okay.
We haven't mentioned merch in a while. That'll help me calm down a little bit, because that fires me up. And that surprised me that he would be so low. I guess.
Hold on. And before you go to merch, let me just say one thing too, while you bring that up. His kids, a lot of people mention this in comments on Facebook and stuff. Rex and I don't know his children. We've never met them. We don't know. Right. But people are saying that they still believe in him. Like they bought in. I don't know how many kids bought in, but certain kids bought into this and still believe in it. So with that being said, that's, to me, is really hard for a kid to be like, oh my gosh, well, all I have is my dad because my mom's dead. And I can't believe that my dad killed my mom, because I can't live like that, thinking that. So my only choice is to believe him on all these accounts. So as a child, these are all grown kids, but I still feel like there's something that it just doesn't sit right with me, and I don't know if they still believe him or why they would do that, so I'm very confused about what's going to happen with that if that happens. All right, back to merch. Sorry,
I just had my merch on and brought my mug in, so I thought, well, at some point we haven't talked about merch for a while, so we still want to support Kimberly and the merch. We're grateful for everything, especially the Facebook group, and as she runs the merch, Lindsay helps her, so we appreciate that. Let me go back to Tuesday and see what questions are here. Here's something I wanted to bring up. Just Ellie, I hope you're on. Just Ellie said this, and this is heartbreaking for me and Adam. Let me read it, and then I'll comment on it. She said, miss my question again. As the group grows, I don't get answers to my questions anymore. That is heartbreaking for us, and we have to deal with that every week. There's so many questions, they just we don't get to all of them. That's why we're really trying to do that. And even questions you send to the rexandadam@gmail.com, we don't always get to those because there's just so many hours in the day. We want the group to go larger because we want anyone who feels they can get healing, being part of such a positive community, to indeed get that healing. But one of the consequences of that is we don't get to all the questions, and we are heartbroken when we don't, and we apologize for that. So let's keep going and get to as many as we can here. So let me look back again from Tuesday. Kathleen Van Vorst asked, do you think Chad gave JJ the date rape drug to knock him out? I know that was, they testified that there were traces of that in his blood, and so, but they couldn't conclude how much he had and if it was from, administering it or just from himself. So I don't know. To me, it doesn't matter. Here's why. The worst news I got during Lori's trial was on this subject right here. The same person that was testifying, the same medical examiner that testified to that, also testified and put together the reasons for which he said it's very likely that JJ was struggling and that caused the marks on his neck or whatever it was there. He was struggling. To me, that says, and the picture he painted said, JJ knew what was going on when the bag went over his head and was struggling to get out. That is the saddest part of this whole scenario to me. So with that in mind, it doesn't mind if they drugged him or not. If he had to struggle the last few seconds, that is devastating to me.
Yeah, it's all of it. I just try to avoid all that because my brain, I just can't. I know I'm a wimp or whatever, but I just can't. I don't even want to think about any of that. I did get a few questions on here that I'm going to answer. One was, Adam, are you going to see your mom for Mother's Day? I did get a text from my mom about an hour ago because we were texting back and forth about the basketball game because she's an NBA fan. So we're talking about Luka and funny stuff about that. But I will not be in St. George to see my mom on Mother's Day. My mom told me her favorite ever in her life, her most fun ever Mother's Day, was when I went to New York to work at Z100 in New York radio station. And for Mother's Day, our station flew my mom from San Antonio, Texas to New York City, picked her up in a limo, took her to the radio station. She came on the radio station and was on the radio with me that night. And that whole weekend, it's limos and, just treating like the queen, flowers and all that stuff. So she always says the best Mother's Day I've ever had in my life was when you guys flew us, when I got to go see you in New York. So me and my mom talk about Mother's Day, and that's the one that she always brings up. But we will definitely talk on Mother's Day. What was the other question I saw go up there? If the trial ends on Monday, do we think Chad's going to get the death penalty? I have no idea. And I don't know when. Is it supposed to end on Monday?
Some people are theorizing that.
Okay.
Well, no, they're theorizing that the
prosecution
will rest.
Yeah.
And if Pryor does, which I don't think he will, but if he does what Lori's defense team did and just rests without calling anyone, then it would end. But that's not. I don't think that's
going to be the case either. Do you think he's going to get the death penalty? No clue. I literally have no clue.
And doesn't matter to you.
No, either. For me, it's either way. Either he goes to jail the rest of his life. If he gets off, now that would bother me.
No kidding.
But going to jail the rest of your life, or sitting in jail on death row, waiting to die on death row, both of those are, to me, they're the same justice. So,
and it'll be a long time.
Yeah.
even if he has a death penalty. So
yeah. Do you think so? Since I'm not following the case and watching trial, Rex, I know you are. Do you feel like the prosecution is laying out a open book that people can see through Chad's bullcrap?
Yeah, I do. I think it's very clear. I think they're doing an excellent job, and I told the prosecutor, I can't remember if Lindsay is sitting in there or not, but we had to go in their room every day to get our passes, to get our seat. We are grateful for every question y'all ask, just everything they're doing. I got to thank a lot of people while I was there. It was worth it just for that. Yeah, I enjoy that. Boy, this is a tough one. Let's tackle this. Sherry Kenworthy. Could also be Sherry Kenworthy. Did you guys learn anything new about Melanie? Have you heard anything different, Adam? I have something, but
I know I haven't heard anything about Melanie.
I don't remember this came up before, but I don't remember having forgotten it. So, but when she talked about being glad that Alex, in fact, I need to combine this with another question. We got a special delivery question by text.
Oh,
which means Lisa.
Lisa
didn't
wants
want to
to
come
know
in the room and ask it or put it in the comments. She said, your thoughts on Melanie P call with Lori and Chad the day after Al died. And they were saying Al wanted his stuff sent to the DI. To me, it sounds like Al knew he was going to die and they knew he was going to die. And that's very likely.
So maybe Al's death was like Lori and Chad and Alex all and Zulema all are like, okay, Al, this is your turn. You're going to the next. You're going to the next. What do they call them? Probation. It's time for you to go to your next probation. So you're going to leave this world. You're going to the next one. We'll see you over there when we go, when it's our turn. I'm sure that wouldn't surprise me either. Like I told you.
But the next phrase or the next input there was chilling for me and new for me and just devastating for her. I had a couple of devastating things this week, but it was when Melanie said, well, at least he'll be there for Braxy and Breezy and can look over them. That is damning and devastating.
Yeah.
It's devastating. I don't think I'll say anything more about that one right now.
Yeah, that's not good for sure.
Any idea, Adam, is Lori up to date on the trial? Do you know if she gets any insight? I don't know.
No, my mom hasn't talked about Lori in a long time, so I don't know what their communication is lately. So I have no idea but I'm sure she's in jail. I'm sure, she's paying attention or watching or whatever in her mind.
Yeah, let's talk about that for just a second, Adam. Because you said your mom hasn't talked to her in a while, and see,
so maybe she has. She hasn't talked to me. My mom hasn't told me anything about Lori.
Yeah, this is what's going on inside the family. People, of course, appreciate these insights we give. Adam and Janice have been working on healing their relationship for 2 years now?
Yeah.
Right after you went 2 years without talking.
Yep.
And it's tough. It's tough because anytime you get together with family, you don't want to talk about this all the time, but it's always there. And so you intentionally don't talk about it. It's the elephant in the room, the proverbial elephant in the room. And that's tough. It's just part of the new normal now in our family. And you can't just talk about every time you get together and bring up all the questions that you always have and say, what do you think about this or that? When Lisa and I went out recently with my other sister, Teresa, and her husband, and we felt really good that we went through a great night, had a good time here, went out to dinner, went to see Marie Osmond in concert here in St. George, and didn't talk anything about the case even once. That was a big event. And it was a positive event. Not that it's always negative talking about, but that's how it's changed the dynamic in the family. You aren't quite sure when and what you can say and what people want to hear or talk about and don't. So that continues on. That's going to continue on for a long time, I think, in the family, don't you think?
You know, I was talking to somebody who's got, you know, and everybody's family has things that they go through. And there's a lot of families that, you know, don't talk to certain members of the family because they're toxic. And I get that. So, you know, I was talking to somebody about, you know, as your family, you know, when you grow up, either you had some drama going on when you were younger or older or both. And how do you, you know, get along with your family? What are the, you know, because they're, you know, people say blood's thicker than water and all those things. And then you start thinking about, well, what does family really mean? Like, what does it mean to have a family? You grow up together, you love each other. And then when things happen and life happens, feelings get hurt, things, you know, people, you know, don't want to be around certain people. It's not like you don't love them, but you just don't want to be around them. And so I was talking to somebody who was telling me that, like, hey, you know, I love them, I forgive them, whatever they did, but I don't want to spend my time with them. I just don't feel like I connect with them anymore. And that's part of life, I think. And so once you get older, here I am, old man, now my old man theories. Once you get older, your group of friends that used to be like this is now like this. Like, you spend your time with the people that you want to be around. You don't want to, you know, you don't have a lot of time to live. So you're like, I don't want to spend time or do things that I really don't want to do. I would much rather be around people that I do want to do and happy and all that, even though I love other people that I'm not spending my time with. And it's a rocky road sometimes because there's feelings involved and expectations and all that stuff. Your mic's off.
And you're welcome. I was coughing. I didn't want to share it with everyone.
Oh, good.
But thanks for telling me.
I should have just let you go the whole podcast. Yeah. Just nod my head like this. And then when your mouth stops, I'll just start talking again.
Yeah, but then I'd see in the comments people saying, hey, this is the best live ever.
Yeah, Rex is on fire today.
People would like that too much.
Probably.
So one of the questions we missed on Tuesday was about this. You're talking about it. And this is something positive you can tell us. Sheila Rousseroy. I have no idea how to pronounce that, Sheila. Sorry. She just thinks your parents owe you a huge apology. Do you want to talk about them apologizing?
Yeah. My parents did apologize to me. When, you know, Rex brought me over to their house the first time I've talked to him, and I don't know how long it was a long time where we weren't talking, and that day they apologized. And then that apology wasn't really my favorite apology, just because we both disagreed on so many different things. And, you know, I got a lot of stuff out, and then as time goes on, and then they realize after I'm telling them all these things, calling them idiots and yelling at them, getting a lot of things out. Then they realize certain things like, oh, well, you're right about that. Oh, I understand why you feel like that. And me telling my parents, I was like, look, every single person in our family has the right to feel the way they feel because of the experience that they had. My experience was different than my mom's experience and my dad's and my sister's. Everybody had their own experience. So with that being said, as time kept going, they would apologize even more and more and more. And at one point, my mom was apologizing almost every time. And every time and still when I talk to her, she goes, I'm so sorry. I can't believe, you know, and we talked about a lot of things. So those are all they've apologized way too many times, because now I'm past the apology stuff. We've already worked on moving on forward. So yeah.
Well, speaking of moving on forward, Rock Acevedo, I still don't know if I'm saying that right. Rock Acevedo says, how are you holding up from all these witnesses spitting out all these crazy and harmful arguments? My heart goes out with you all. I think because of what Adam has said already, that nothing surprises us and everybody has their own view of it. And we have our own view. People don't agree with us either. That I'm not holding anyone's view against them, anyone's theories against them. There's some theories that we don't like here because we've heard it so much and we've tried to debunk them, and they're obviously false. Like Adam, why didn't you go with Charles over to, that type of stuff we don't like to hear. But everyone has a right to their own feelings. Adam, do you want to take that one too?
I mean, yeah, exactly what you said. I don't have a lot to say about that. I don't really pay attention to what's going on in court. I'm sorry. I know we do a podcast about this trial, but I literally get highlights from some people sometimes, but I really don't know on a day-to-day basis who's testifying, what they're saying, and all that stuff. I just know that, and when this is all over, Chad's going to be in jail the rest of his life or get the death penalty. Lori's going to have another trial and going to get her third or fourth or fifth or whatever life in prison. So to me, those are all things that I think I'm pretty sure are going to happen. So I don't really need to know all the details or listen to people testify of it, because those are the facts. The kids are dead. Charles is dead. Tammy's dead. They're going to jail. And I know the story is they had a crazy kooky idea and they went with this crazy stuff. They were evil. They got caught up, whatever it is, whether, and now that we're finding out that what I knew to be true, Lori was already going down a path. She wasn't going down a killing path or a dark spirit path and zombies have to be killed path, but she was going down a path where she wanted to be special. She wanted she wanted to be the one to say when the end of the world was coming. She wanted to, be close, with the Lord and all those things. But, Chad is the one that really instilled all these thoughts and like, hey, let me give you a special blessing. You're in this probation and now you're going to go to the next probation and you only need to get your body here. And like, he started putting all that in everybody's head. And so I know Lori was already going down a path, but I don't think Lori and Alex would have killed kids or been part of this if they never met Chad.
And maybe vice versa too. We aren't saying Chad was a killer and recruited them to kill. I think the way you explain it as the perfect storm, Adam, and throwing fuel on the fire, that happened when they got together and took it that direction.
Yep.
Yeah. This is one that Susan Moore asks if they lie, can they be prosecuted? I think she's referring to the 3 people I mentioned that we had heard have immunity agreements. Yes. In fact, according to our source, again, we don't know this, but according to our source, they can still be prosecuted for anything. It's very open, very subjective. So yes, they could still be prosecuted. Other than that, we don't know how it works, how that immunity agreement works, or even if there are more details in that.
And there's really only 2 trials. There's Chad's trial. There already was Lori's trial. Nobody got in trouble with that trial. There's Chad's trial. Nobody's gotten in trouble with this trial. And then Lori has another trial. And we'll see if anybody gets in trouble from that. So other than that, otherwise it's all going to be gone. There's not going to be a trial for Alex's death. So, I mean, that's
we may have to wait till the end of all 3 trials before we find out if any of these people that have immunity agreements are going to be charged with anything.
Yeah.
Paint Jade asks, and we aren't real good with these true crime questions because, as Adam said, we don't follow up the day-to-day details, but I think I have the answer to this one. Did Alex Cox or Joseph Ryan have pink foam coming out of their mouth? I believe Alex did. I've heard that's a sign of pulmonary embolism. I've heard that. Again, I'm not the expert in that area. Joseph Ryan's body was so decomposed that wouldn't have been a factor. They didn't find his body until, what was it, 3 weeks or something?
2 or 3 weeks after he died.
Yeah, he was already in the decomposing process, so didn't have it for that. Sorry to be a little bit graphic there, but that was all the answer I have.
I did hear that Tammy had green or pink stuff coming out of her mouth, and Alex did too. Yeah. In my opinion, those 2 are connected. However Alex died and Tammy died, it was, in my opinion, some kind of a poison that made it look like it was a blood clot, right?
Yeah.
And that's my opinion, and I may be way wrong, but I think both of those two, they figured out a way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm a betting person, it's tough to know whether to bet on anything that Adam or I says, how accurate it is, because we're speculating here with all of you. We have very little inside information on actual case details. We have family information that we share, but not much case.
It's almost like I feel like I remember at one point they were talking about, whatever that I've talked about this before, but I forget, but that thing that Chad mentioned in one of his books or something. What's the mineral or thing that they were talking about Lori's ring was going to be made out of?
Yeah.
And if you put that in liquid form, then it turns into a poison that can kill you or something like that. And it's not detected and all that stuff. So I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but I think Lori and Chad figured out a way that you can give somebody something like Al and Tammy. And I feel like both of those things happen, but I don't know what that poison would be or what happened. But it feels to me like my gut feeling tells me that those two are connected.
Yeah, that green malachite.
Yeah,
a lot of information available on that.
Yeah.
Kelly J asks, do you think Alex is going to try and hurt Zulema with that tarp on their honeymoon story? I have an opinion on that, Adam. Do you know what we're talking about?
No, I don't know. I don't know that.
I'll take that one then. No, I don't. I don't find Zulema credible in everything she says, and that is one story that she brought up and said, hey, do you think that was this? I think she was deflecting, and I don't find that credible at all. Again, what do we know? But just an opinion on that.
Just saying Rex and I's intuition way back was right about everything. Okay, yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
That is true.
It is true. Our intuition about everything was exactly how we said it was, that we thought it went down, and it all went down the same way. So
yeah. Kathy has a question. It'll be a quick question for me. Rex, were you present for the Williams testimony? If so, did they remain in the courtroom once off the stand? I found them impactful. All of the witnesses are excused from the courtroom, I think, except maybe Kay during Lori's trial. But if they don't, the judge asks the prosecution and the defense when they're done with the witness, if they want to keep them on, what's the right word, subpoena. If they're on subpoena, they can't be in the courtroom and listen to the trial. If they're off subpoena, I suppose they could. I haven't seen any witnesses do that and stay in the courtroom. And it's live streamed, so then they might go listen to it. Okay. Adam, is Steve still alive? It's alarming to hear her testify that she called Chad dad. That is.
Oh yeah. Yes. Steve Cope is Melanie's dad. He's still alive. Yeah. I know that Melanie and him had a falling out. And they got along for a while. And I really believe that Lori also had an influence on, Melanie, it's a complicated story. And I feel bad about how Melanie, what happened to her as a kid. My older sister, who we all agree is an angel and probably one of the best human beings that ever lived, was Melanie's mom. And when her and Steve got a divorce, Steve, left Stacy in the middle of the night, took the credit card, turned off all the electricity, left. And Stacy was in a very sick, she was started to already physically, have that disease that she had. Steve just didn't handle it very well at all. And I was very upset with Steve, through all that. But and Steve, I'm sure, has his own reasons why he did that. And I there's always two sides to a story. So whatever his side is, I'm sure that he felt justified in what he was doing. And so with that being said, Steve wouldn't let Melanie see our family for I don't know how long. It was a long, like
until she turned 18.
At 15, I contacted Melanie and she flew to Sacramento and I took her to a concert. So that's where me and Melanie made a connection. I think I was the first one to talk to her when she was a teenager. I guess she thought it was cool that I was on the radio. And so me and Melanie started that connection. Then the family came around and all that. So then Melanie became part of our family again when she was a teenager. And, Steve did tell her some lies, in my opinion, and maybe they're truths to him. But Melanie's relationship with her dad was strained. And so it's still strained. I do think Lori is to blame for Melanie. Melanie thinking, Lori's filling in my older sister's shoes as a mother, and Melanie looking up to Lori. And so I think Lori really took Melanie down this road that was just, terrible. And so, but Steve is still alive. I don't think that Melanie talks to Steve. She may, I don't know. I don't think she does.
Yeah. A quick little known side story of that, Adam, you may not know this. When Steve left Stacy that night, left her alone, shut off the power, all that, anytime once in a while, I hear people talking about that and saying, oh, it's exaggerated, is actually Allison, my wife at the time, mother of my children. We lived up, they were in Federal Way, Washington. We were not real far from there. And Allison was out and about and thought, I need to stop by and see how Stacy's doing. And Stacy found her that night. I'm sorry.
Allison found Stacy.
Found Stacy that night in that situation. Couldn't move physically, was not able to do anything. All the power cut off, everything, and
took her credit card and all that stuff. So yeah, there's some things where I feel my heart breaks for how my sister's life went from that point forward when she got divorced and got sick. I mean, talk about emotional pain, because you think the world of Stacy, and I thought the world of her. And to realize that she's this special person, that she is just an angel, and she had the hardest, roughest time in life, through that period of time where she was sick, and Steve decided to divorce her and take her credit cards and shut off all the life. I mean, if you want to get a divorce and Stacy's not your cup of tea, that's fine, but don't do what you did. So I have a lot of anger for Steve for those things. And I'm sure he wanted to, the reason he wanted out, he had his own reasons, and who knows. But anyways, Melanie, in my opinion, had a really rough childhood, being taken away from all of us. We were all that she knew. I was her favorite uncle and all these things. And then from, not being able to talk to him and cut.
What do you mean you were a favorite uncle? I thought I was her favorite uncle.
Well, you're a favorite grunkle. Oh wait, you're not even a grunkle, right? With her?
Yeah, Melanie's grunkle.
Yeah. I'm her uncle.
That's true. You had a lot of interaction with her. You were a favorite uncle. I'm not getting in on that. I usually just.
You are everybody else's favorite uncle.
I have to tell my niece. I have to remind all my nieces and nephews of that every time I see them. Remember, I'm your favorite uncle. Yeah.
You remember me? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like it.
Thank you, Aaron Rock, for that $10 super sticker. That's very generous. It's going to the foundation. Melanie, our moderator, couldn't get our attention, apparently, Adam. She had to text me and tell me, you're missing the super stickers. Make sure you don't miss them, because we really do appreciate these people.
Yeah.
Donating financially to the cause is we really appreciate. Alicia, also a $10 super sticker. Thank you very much for that. And Gloria, a $10 donation for the foundation. And with a comment, your strength and integrity is appreciated. Thank you for taking us down the rabbit hole with grace. Washington State is watching. Okay. The old stomping ground, my old stomping grounds. I've lived in the state of Washington 2 or 3 times.
I've never been to Washington or Oregon. I'm missing out. Everybody's like, that's so beautiful there.
You've gotten out. I was going to say you should get out more, but.
No, I've traveled the United States, just not northwest.
You have. And thank you very much, Gloria, for that that donation also. Very kind of you. We appreciate it. Let me go catch up with some more questions. Yes, we've answered that one. Here's a theory. We like theories. We like to wildly speculate. This is Winch Greighton. One theory, Alex was in the conspiracy. He killed Charles, but don't think he killed JJ and Tylee. Remember, he failed with Tammy and Brandon. Remember Lori's anger? Chad and Lori did it themselves. We accept all theories because we don't know anything different. I personally believe that Chad was involved. I believe the killings of the kids, Tylee and JJ, was ritualistic, and I believe Chad was involved. I don't have any evidence of this other than what is there, the dates, the conditions of the bodies, a couple things that were said in court, and my suspicions. That's all I have to go on. But Winch, we appreciate your theories on it also. We take all theories.
And by the way, you could be completely right.
Exactly.
Like, the thing about it is, I don't think nobody's ever going to know. And right. I think it makes people feel good to feel like this is the way I think it went down, because this makes sense in my head of what the patterns are, what's happened, what the information that I have. This is why I think that. So, and any of it could be right.
Yeah, and that's what we're all doing. We're just trying to make sense of a tragedy. I, for myself, have come to peace, not to come to peace. It's not peaceful, but come to grips with what I believe happened, why Lori digressed into what she digressed into, and why they all did. But as far as the details around it, I wish I had more answers, but I'm at least accepting of what I believe caused it, what happened inside the people, and I gain a lot of comfort from that. Our friend KCL says they saved a vial of Alex's blood during his autopsy to compare against Tammy's autopsy. In fact, I've heard it's routine to save tissues from autopsy. Some people say, well, they rushed Alex into cremation before an autopsy. No, he had a pretty thorough autopsy. And I believe it's standard practice, or maybe standard practice for homicides or whatever, if there's any question, to keep tissue and apparently blood in this case to check later. And then at some point there's a statute where it can run out and they can get rid of it or not. It's different in every state. So that's all I've heard about it.
To me, it's like, I don't need tissue and blood and all that. To me, the pattern and what fits to me is what in my mind is, Lori, we know that Lori and Chad were, killing zombies and dark spirits, and who turned into a dark spirit, who has to be killed. Well, obviously Charles and Tammy had to be killed because Lori and Chad wanted to be together and they needed money to live out their life until the Lord came. And this is just me splewing this. This is what fits for me. So when Alex, was part of this and he was going to be the fall guy, three things could have happened. Al just said, I can't believe what I did. I realize now that this is a fault and I'm killing myself. Or I think Zulema or somebody, Lori, said, hey, you got to give him this poison, let him drink it, kill him. Or Alex and Chad and Lori are all together in it. And it's like, hey, it's time for you to go to the next probation. You've done your work here. Chad, let me give you a blessing. You're going to the next life. Da, 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 da. So that all makes sense to me. And so with Tammy and Al, whatever that poison is or whatever, I think that they both had whatever it was in their system. And let me have that, because that's what makes sense to me.
This is a subject Adam and I are really intrigued with, the cult issue of this. And, as we talked with Mike Evans, Profiling Evil on our podcast and his podcast, he has a lot of insight into this. And he said, technically just about every organization meets a definition of a cult. He was talking about the pickleball organization. Adam had a cap on with a pickleball logo. He said,
or if you're a Dodger fan, that's considered a cult. Like he's explaining
Dodger fans, definitely.
Well, any fan like of a group, like that's the definition of a cult.
That meets the definition. Chad's followings, if you say a cult, means it's evil. They do evil things. They have an evil leader. Yeah, this works as a cult. People call churches cults, and that's probably valid for any church if you want to use that definition. There is a leader. All religions have strange religious practices, not necessarily evil, but some people can take them and do evil with them and have throughout all of history. So that's a pretty loose accusation of it being a cult. But so the problem in the world is the evil that goes into it when someone evil decides to do something and gathers other people to do evil. That's what I'm going to refer to here. Okay. But I put this one up, Adam, because I get to talk about my favorite subject, really the only one on which I have any expertise. It's not even expertise. The only one on which I have good advice. The second part of the question is, what do you think can be done to break delusional beliefs and deter cults? The best thing to do is for yourself and anyone that's in your circle of influence to follow your internal guidance system, follow your conscience. That will help you recognize evil, deter it, and especially help, which is one of Adam's favorite topics, help people close to you like family members get out of something that they're getting into. If you'll talk about it, follow your conscience and get them to talk any way you can, get your family members to talk about it. I think that's the best solution. It starts with me. I hope each person believes it starts with them and working in their circle of influence. Adam, what's your insight there?
Yeah, Rex and I have talked to a couple people, and we feel like maybe there's a lot of people that may have followed Chad and maybe in a cult, and did cult-like things, including some of these killings and stuff. So, but how do you get out of being in a cult? And we talked about this, I don't know, when we had Craig Shoemaker on one of our podcasts earlier. His dad, he said, was a cult leader, and his wife left and got a divorce with his wife because she ended up joining some cult. And, they prey on people that need something. And there's certain times in life where we're really high and we're confident and all that stuff. And there's times in life where we're really low. And usually when you're really low and you need help or you need somebody or you feel like you need to belong or you're lonely or, whatever emotional situation you're in, those are the ones that usually follow somebody who says, hey, I can make you're way better than you think you are. And I can lift you up and you can be part of this. And so I think really these cult leaders prey on people that, need something in their life. And so I think there are people who are vulnerable to become part of a cult because of that. So like Rex said, no matter if you're at your highest high or your lowest low, your conscience is always going to be your conscience. So if something sounds way too good to be true, then it probably is. And you just got to talk through it yourself. And not get caught up in that stuff, especially when people try to say, oh, you need to try this or you need to do this. Really think things through. And I would vet this, and Rex is great at this, talking to people about it. Well, Rex has really opened my eyes to a lot of things in the business world. Well, let me pick your brain. Let me ask you about this. Let me run this past you. And getting maybe 5 or 6 different opinions on one topic. One situation. Let me see what this sounds like. And then when you run a bunch of different stuff, then you can make a better decision with your conscience of what that looks like in life. So that's what I would say about, people who can fall into cults, really vet things through.
So speaking about the cult aspect of this, Kay the Geeky Geek, great name.
Yes.
My theory is that Chad directed these couples to marry and move to Rexburg, then take out life insurance on each other. Then Chad cut off the dark one and claim the insurance money. I think you are correct, and that is one of their strategies for making money. And I think that not only because of Lori's success getting insurance money from Joseph Ryan, trying to get Charles insurance money, and also Lori approached one of her friends in Hawaii. Remember, went back. The friend talked about this as a recording. I don't know if it came out in court, but it was an interview at least, where she said Lori was trying to convince her she had part in the $144,000. She needed to leave her kids with her husband, which is what she had Melanie Bedreau do. But this other person, Lori's trying to convince her, you need to leave your kids with your husband. And I would not be surprised if that would have happened, that she would have said, well, get a lot of life insurance on him in case, you lose him, then, or whatever her story is. So I'm with you, Kay, the Geeky Geek.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too. For the pattern of all the things that have been happening, yeah, that does. And I told you, red flag for me. Alex and Zulema going to get married. Alex was not somebody who wanted to get married. Alex wanted to go to Columbia to be with girls. So, that was a surprise. B, Melanie the next day went to Vegas, and they both went to Vegas to get married like that. That means Chad said, look, to be part of this group, you need to be married. You need to be married. Now, the getting insurance on your spouse and all that stuff, that could go along with their pattern of what they did. So, yes, all that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And since I brought this up and love talking about it, let me answer Gina's question here. Rex, does some confuse internal guidance with the Spirit told me? Yes. The problem that we all have, the challenge, I should say, we all have of following our internal guidance. No one has taught us how to do that. Not even if you're religious. In religion, we say follow the Lord's Spirit. Very valid, but how do we do that? And we equate it with our senses. Well, we hear a still small voice. We have a certain feeling. We have a burning, or we have, certain feelings. And that opens us up to a lot of problems with spiritual communication and evil spirits communicating, etc., if you believe in that stuff. And, based on Lori and Chad's story, I certainly believe that was part of the process. That doesn't absolve you of the decisions you make. So, yes, people have that excuse. I really didn't appreciate when my second wife told me she married me because the Lord told her to. And I thought I had a second very short mistake marriage. I don't know if I've confessed that before, but confession's good for the soul. Yeah. And I thought, so you're blaming God for marrying me? Is that what you're telling me? This is during our divorce proceedings.
Yeah.
I think if you would have heard from God, he would have known that this was a mistake. We both believe it's a mistake. Wouldn't God have known that? Anyway, we went the rounds on that one. Yes, it's very confusing when you say the Spirit told me.
Okay, so I have just, since we're on this topic, and I know we're over time and stuff, but this is interesting to me. A lot of people in the church will be like, well, I'm going to follow the Spirit. The problem is, in my opinion, that you already have in your mind a way that you want something to go, or you want to believe something already. Then you go pray, and then you're like, oh yeah, I got my answer. My answer is the Spirit's leading me to this. And I won't bring up somebody close to me, but somebody close to me prayed about Lori's situation. And the Spirit told her that Lori was telling the truth, and this was all what Lori was saying. Like, not about killing the kids or anything like that, but about what she was saying about me or whoever. and she followed the Spirit. Now she's questioning her own spirit or feeling of, when I pray about something, how do I really know that this is the Spirit, God's Spirit leading me? Or is it my own mind telling me this is what I want it to be, or that I think it is? So there's some really, really hard things to try to figure out as a human being what you should do. And one of them is, I'm trying to follow God's Spirit if you believe in God, or am I allowing what I really want to do? Am I allowing my brain and my body to really listen to God to speak to me? Even if it's opposite of what I think, what I want to do, because I think that's the hardest thing for people to discern. And I feel like sometimes we get caught up in, this is what I want, and so I pray about it, and now this is what the Lord wants. And sometimes it goes like that. But that's just my opinion on, since we're talking about this subject.
Yeah, and we could talk more on it. You mentioned we're out of time, Adam. Do you have to run?
No.
Okay, let's do this. Let's try to get as many of these remaining starred questions. There are 21 of them. We may not get all of them.
Okay.
But let's ask Maud Mel, our moderator, Melanie, don't star any more questions. Not that their questions aren't valid, but let's just try to get to the ones that are on here already.
Okay.
And we'll just keep going till we can't or don't have
till 3 in the morning.
Till 3 in the morning. Okay, I don't have that much time, but let's just go here with what we have that are already started. Again, it won't be everyone's questions, but let's do the best we can here.
Okay, sounds good.
Question: in Melanie P's testimony this week, did it seem she's still protecting Lori, and it was all Chad's fault this happened? Did she want to testify? We know she got out of it in Lori's trial. I don't think neither Adam nor I know if she wanted to testify or not. Do you know, Adam?
No, I would assume that she wouldn't want to testify.
Yeah. And did you feel she's protecting Lori? It was all Chad's fault this happened?
I'm sure that she loves Lori and she understands that, Lori's in a delusion. But yeah, I'm sure she is. I'm sure she does blame Chad.
Yeah. Maybe not for everything. We really don't know. She hasn't discussed anything about the case with either of us directly.
No.
We've heard her talking to some other people about parts of it, but
yeah,
we don't have that from Melanie. Do you think it was from, I'm sorry, I didn't say who said the last one. Now I lost it. From Christine Butler. I need to remember not everyone. Oh, I have a story about that. That'll take us longer. Okay, let's get back to the question. Christine Butler said, do you think it was Zulema or Melanie P who drove Alex to shoot at Brandon and Tammy? What do you think, Adam?
That's a good question. I would assume that so somebody was driving, or did Al just do it himself? Was that proven that somebody was driving Al and he just shot out the window?
No, hasn't been proven.
Oh, okay. I have no clue who would be in the car with Alex with that. But again, nothing would surprise me. I just would assume that it would just be Alex by himself. But
yeah, I believe it's entirely possible. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if it was him or someone else.
Yeah,
your other suspicious.
Maybe one of the other 100 or 200 people that we think are in this cult or were in this cult.
Right. Yeah. Right. Or that helped them out.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. From Paint J, did Alex have any mental disorders? Don't we all? If so, it seems unfair that no one would care about his death if he was mentally challenged. What do you say to that one, Adam?
Well, that's a tough one. Alex was never proven to be mentally challenged. Obviously, he was different. And different doesn't mean mentally challenged.
Right.
My mom thinks that when he got in the car wreck when he was 16 and had that hematoma on his head, that he never got out of being 16. Like he stayed as 16 years old the rest of his life. And could that be true? Yes. I don't know it to be true, but everybody has their own speculation about that. And it's not that we don't care about Alex's death. It's because Alex was involved with all these killings that it's hard for me to process, Alex dying. And I still even haven't mourned. I haven't cried. I haven't done. And me and Alex were super close at one point in my life. So, and Rex was close with Alex too. So yeah, I don't think he had I don't know. I mean, obviously you have mental problems if you can get involved in something like this. I think everybody involved has mental problems.
That's a good point. Everyone that would participate in this has mental problems. I wouldn't say a disorder, like it kept him from seeming normal to most people.
He wasn't autistic, or maybe he was autistic. Who knows? Maybe he had a form of it, because his brain was functioning at a different level as far as like he could listen to you talk and then he could imitate you immediately. So he's got a photographic memory. I think those are all positive things, not negative things. But
right. All right. Let's see what Elroy says here. Always been curious as to the inexplicable backtracking of Ian Pulowski in interviews. After being seemingly so concerned, now in order to save face, he has to face evidence he helped to get. Any comment, Adam? I have a comment on it.
I don't know. I've never met Ian. I don't know him. I've never seen him on stand. I've never, had any interaction with him. So I don't know a lot about. The only thing I heard was he wore a wire and the FBI and he was trying to catch Melanie. That's all I really know. So I have no idea about him.
And I don't have anything conclusive. My jury is still out with Ian and his involvement. There are a lot of questions I would like to have answered, just as there's still some questions I'd like to have answered about Melanie. So, Elroy, I'm with you. There's some inexplicabilities on that topic, but sorry, I don't have any insight on them for you. Jojo asks, how do you feel when you hear new audio with Chad and Lori? I'm far from being involved with this whole thing, yet my stomach turns when I hear her voice. How do you, as a family member, feel?
I don't listen, so I don't have any feelings. I haven't heard anything between Chad and Lori audio wise that I remember.
Yeah,
I know just written stuff that they wrote back and forth or texted back and forth. The sexual stuff that was just crazy.
Yeah, I don't mind hearing their voices. That doesn't do anything to me emotionally, positive or negative. But yeah, their interaction, especially the disgusting loin fire stuff and disgusting theories and wanting to harm children, turn their pain tolerance down, things like that. I'm just revolted, but I would be about anyone, not just Chad and Lori with that. But in this case, it is Chad and Lori. So that does get to me, and I do not like it. Kelly J asks, will you be continuing to talk about this? Will you continuing to talk about this all affect your moving forward? Oh, if we continue talking about this, will it affect you moving forward with your mom and family, Adam? Sorry, Kelly J. It took me a minute to read it.
I don't know. It may. My mom's not a fan of Rex and I talking on the podcast. There's other members of the family that don't like it. Rex and I feel like this is an outlet for us, so we talk about it. It makes us feel better that we get things out instead of holding them in. I don't know if it's gonna. I'm obviously all the way until Lori's trial is over, and then we'll be able to figure out, how to go more forward if we can with our relationships. But it may have a little bit of strain on our relationships. So
Green Quinn asks, how's your dad doing? Do you want to talk about Barry? Have you noticed any change in your dad's belief or perspective since Lori has been sentenced?
Belief? Yeah, but obviously he understands all the things that Lori did and Al did. So I think he's come to grips with it. I don't think he really likes it. Just the pain that my parents have to have is probably higher than anything that I can imagine. So don't really know. I don't. Once in a while we'll talk about it, and other times we have to talk about other things. But yeah, I'm sure he's trying to come to grips with it. I guess the best that he can. But yeah.
All right. LB Mac, also another one. Sorry, I think another question. It's okay. All questions appreciated. But do you think later in life that y'all would want to know what exactly happened if it ever comes out? Definitely.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. I would want to know all of it. And, for those of us that believe in the afterlife, I'm looking forward to hanging out down. I don't know how location works then and where we'll be. I'm not going to say I'm going to be in any better place. Well, hopefully a little bit better than Alex, but I'd love to talk with him. I'd pick his brain, find out about it. Christine Butler asks, what about Melanie P saying she didn't want Brandon to know Alex had passed? She wanted him to stay scared of Alex. Had you heard that, Adam?
No.
Yeah.
Brandon was the one that called me because he was talking with the FBI when Alex died and said, hey, you're not going to hear this for a while, because it was like a week before anybody knew. And he said, hey, I just want to tell you your Alex passed. And that phone call was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And from that point I was like, okay, so, and I wasn't talking to my parents at the time. They weren't, accepting calls or emails or whatever. So we weren't talking. And then I think a week later, Brandon's like, this won't come out for a while. I was like, okay. So tried to deal with that. And then I got an email from my dad saying, hey, you might want to know that your brother Alex passed away of a heart or what was it, lung?
Yeah, pulmonary embolism.
Pulmonary embolism in his lung. And I was like, and I just sent an email back. Yeah, Dad, I knew about a week ago, because he hadn't, we weren't talking at the time. And I emailed him back and I was like, yeah, I already knew that. And then I said, and it's not and then I started telling him, well, he was either killed or killed himself. And then he was like, no, in denial. It had to be in that. And then that was the end of that. That was the only time he made contact with me during the time we weren't talking. So yeah, I remember that. That was a very hard thing to take.
Seattle Candy Company. That just sounds great. I know you think the snake venom idea is nuts, but I'm from New Mexico, grew up by the border. Juarez, that's a scary border town right there. Mom went to New Mexico State. Cobra venom can be drank and would not show up, would cause the same symptoms.
Wow. They sell it in Mexico?
They might.
Wow. They might. Maybe Al went down and bought that. Who knows?
I've heard another one is...
Would that surprise me? No, it would not surprise me.
Nothing. White oleander. If you remember, Adam, the street we lived on there in Rialto on Virginia before we moved up, had oleanders on the side. White oleanders. That's apparently is very poisonous, and similarly would not leave a trace. So wow. Seattle Candy Company, now everyone knows that you know that. And so if anyone drops dead around you, good luck with your defense there. That could be scary.
Rex, what did Chad's neighbor die of? I know he was older, but what was
getting poisoned by Chad and his friends?
You really? What was the autopsy, or what was there? Was there one?
There is. I don't remember, but I would refer people to Hidden True Crime. They have 2 episodes.
I wonder if he had pink stuff. I wonder if he had pink stuff coming out of his mouth.
Good question. Good question.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Let's see. Okay. Can you get that name, Fan One? Oh, Auburn University Tiger fan 1. Okay, how could I miss that? Rex, have you been surprised at all the terrible things that Chad said about Tammy after her death, her weight, etc.? Not even wanting his name on the tombstone or hers. Terrible. Well, I can agree with you on that, but my opinion of Chad is so low that I'm not surprised by that after I found out he's going to drag his children through testifying in court. Yeah, I can't be surprised about it.
Wait, so Chad didn't want his name on Tammy's tombstone?
I think Tammy's, I think his, oh, that's it. His name's not on Tammy's tombstone. You know, when couples die and,
yeah,
you know, they get a joint tombstone and they don't put the living person on there. Yeah, he didn't want that. So, yeah, well, if you're an adulteress and think you're going to be the person you wanted to be with, that's, I guess, what they think. Yeah, the whole thing's rather disgusting. Jojo, it's more believable if Emma says she killed Tammy than Emma saying Tammy was unhealthy. She killed Tammy. That Emma killed Tammy?
Is Emma Chad's daughter?
Yeah.
People keep mentioning her like she's part of this. I don't know anything about her or know anything about what her involvement is.
Yeah, that's because there's a body cam or a cam inside the police car when Chad was being held of he and Emma talking.
Oh.
And Emma was, being very supportive of Chad. Obviously, I say obviously, appearing to have drunken the Kool-Aid and still be playing along. And so people are theorizing that, well, if the children knew, maybe they were in on Tammy's death. So
yeah.
So all wild speculations are accepted, Jojo. Thanks for contributing that. I can see what you're saying with that. From KCL, Adam and Rex, do you think about the James and Elena? What do you think about the James
and Elena?
I taste a little vomit anytime I see the names Jane and Elena together now. How about you, Adam?
Yeah, it's so ridiculous that he's writes his own fiction and buys into all that stuff and comes up with stuff. It's really sick.
Ana Franco, do you believe in Lori's delusion? I believe that Lori is in delusion. I don't believe in her delusion. Did Lori replace Tylee for Melanie P? Oh, replace Tylee with Melanie P as a daughter, meaning? Haven't heard that before. I wouldn't either. Yeah, my first reaction is by that time Lori's in said delusion, and so who knows what she's thinking or doing, and who knows how safe Melanie would have been throughout this process. So interesting stuff there. Anything else on that one, Adam?
No.
Okay, so
I got nothing.
We aren't previewing these to see if we want to put them up, so we're getting them the way they're written. What evidence is new from Lori's court case? If so, Chad, who likes to have control, would loathe this. Greeting from Aussie Annie. We certainly like Aussies. We like Aussie Annie, and well, anyone who listens to us. But when you're in Australia, it takes a little extra effort to listen to us. What evidence is new from Lori's court case? There's been some new stuff. Does anything stick out to you? The stuff from Melanie Pulowski was new to me. So that was new. And the DNA and human remain evidence on the tools in Chad's shed were new to me. They didn't really link them to be bombshell evidence yet. I'm hoping that happens. Anything, Adam?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. From Ava Kelly, what do you know about Lori's first two husbands? Adam can address this. I think I heard her second husband died in a motorcycle accident. Is that correct? And was he Colby's bio father?
Oh, I didn't hear that. I don't know if Will died. First husband was Nelson, high school kid. I think, drug dealer. Then she married Will, who worked at Chess King with her, where they met. He ended up being abusive, beat her up. I had to go pick her up in the middle of the night. I actually talk about that. A story in our book.
Yeah.
But yeah, neither one of their first two husbands were really significant. I feel like in her life, it was just something she was just young and getting married and making bad choices, I think.
Yep. Haven't heard that Will died though.
No, I didn't hear Will died in a motorcycle accident. As long as he didn't have pink stuff coming out of his mouth, I'll be okay.
Betty Lester asks, did Alex have life insurance?
Don't know that either. Al didn't have he didn't have money. He just lived like he just had his own money in a bank account.
He had money to buy a lot of guns. He had, $5,000 in a go bag for. Remember, he told Zulema, "Hey,
yeah. I don't know. I never heard if he had a life insurance policy on him.
That would be interesting though, because would Zulema claim it, and then would she be?
Wouldn't that be part of the news? Everybody would know that though, right?
Well, you would think, but I don't know. I don't know how they'd find out. Just brings up some interesting possibilities with that. We don't know that. Do you know if there was life insurance on any of you kids growing up?
No.
So
no idea. Did you have life insurance on your kids?
Because I do. Yeah,
you do.
I did because I sold insurance for a period of time. Barry sold insurance, but yeah, I had life insurance on my kids. Adam, what's from Green Quinn? What's your thoughts on the narrative that Lori was the powerhouse of the cult? Has she ever been a leader? Would you say she would fit well in that dominant role?
I mean, there's yes and no to that question. She liked to be in charge of things. Obviously she wanted to be special. So I think when her and Chad met, that was the beginning of the end for everybody. But I don't think she was the main person behind it. I think once she met Chad and Chad explained things to her, she was like all in on it. She was like, oh, this is how it works. This is, all that. So yeah, I don't think Lori would have done what she did if she didn't met Chad. I don't think Chad would have done what he did unless he met Lori. I really don't think all this craziness would have happened if they never met.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there was a powerhouse leader of the cult between Chad and Lori.
Oh, you frozen? The podcast went too long. Is it? I don't hear you or see you. Oh, there you go.
Yep, $2 super sticker. And that's the last one. Thank you, Cindy, for donating that. We certainly appreciate that. And that's the last one. So we stayed a half hour longer just trying to get, now I'm sure we cut it off and just addressed the ones that were started at that point. But from the 1,274 comments in this live, I'm sure we left a lot of questions unanswered.
A lot of meat on the bone is what we like to say. There's a lot of meat on the bone.
So please stay tuned to us. No, we would love to answer all questions. That's what we love doing. We appreciate you so much, you optimists, the listeners of this, not just the watchers, not just including the listeners, not just the people on Facebook, although we love you too and all the support. We wish we could do better. We wish there's more of us and more time to discuss all of this. We love discussing it with you. You have an interest in it like we do. You give us a lot of love and support. We appreciate it. Adam, you get the last word.
Again, Rex and I have continued this podcast because we believe there are a lot of people in the world that suffer from trauma. And we're trying to focus our podcast on healing. So if you know anybody that you think needs help healing or wants to be part of a group like our Facebook group or our podcast group that needs support or love. Like, this is a non-judgmental. We don't judge on this podcast. And so tell your friends, tell your family, if you think somebody would fit in or want to be part of something where they can, feel free to talk about their feelings or things that they've been through. Make sure you let people know about it, because we would love to. And we're going to start taking this podcast in a direction of maybe getting some experts that can really help heal people. I did read a comment maybe 2 weeks ago, or that somebody's like, I've been going to a therapist for 7 years, and just the things that I've learned with some of the guests that you've had on your podcast, I've learned more in 2 hours than I have in 7 years. And I'm not tooting our own horn. I'm saying that we do have some really good experts that we intend to help people, heal. And I think healing is something that Rex and I seek, because we've been damaged so bad that we know there's other people out there that just want to heal, and whatever that means for you to heal. So yeah, our podcast is going in that direction. So if you feel like somebody that wants that or would need that, or let them know about Silver Lining Podcast and our Facebook group, which is Tylee and JJ Silver Lining Podcast Community, which we love that it's a community. That's all I got.
Thank you. TT put a $5 donation here at the wire. Said, my heart will always be with you.
Thank you,
Adam and Uncle Rex. Thank you very much. And we'll keep going.